So we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I got into football, I got into basketball, but I wasn't able to stay in those sports very long because of how much money they cost to join. Skateboarding, for $100, you can get a skateboard complete and a pair of shoes. That's all I needed, and that's what I got. From that day forward, when I was 8 years old, I got my first skateboard. Skateboarding every day. By the age of 10 years old, I decided I wanted to become a professional skateboarder, and that's what I wanted to do with my life. I started working every day, missed a little bit too much school, but did what I loved. By the time I was 14 years old, I had a lot of companies in the St. Louis area giving me that push, saying, you have the talent, you have the skills, let's become a professional skateboarder. So these local skate shops started throwing me funding, giving me sponsorships, and we were working to go to Tampa Bay, Florida. And Tampa Bay, Florida, if nobody knows about skateboarding, the Tampa Am is a huge competition that you can go and bridge the gap. Bridge the gap, I mean from an amateur to a professional. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go to Tampa Bay, got all these sponsors on board, and I'm going to make a name for myself. I had 2 summers to train for that. They said, we want to see your progression, and when you're ready, we'll send you. So I was 14. 2 summers passed. My 16th birthday came up. Shortly after my 16th birthday, I decided that it was time. Also at my 16th birthday, my daughter was born. So my daughter was born, and I said, okay, now I really have to give it all I can. Shortly after my 16th birthday and my daughter was born, I didn't get to go to Tampa. My knee started causing me troubles, it hurt. We couldn't figure out what was wrong. Went to the hospital and got an x-ray and found out that I had osteosarcoma bone cancer in my left knee. Now, undergoing all this crazy stuff at once, you know, being a young child who had a kid, but wanted to do what's right for her, and then all of a sudden losing this dream that I've been working so long for, now I was fighting for my life. I spent the next year inpatient in St. Louis Children's Hospital, undergoing chemotherapy to save my life and to save my leg. The first month of chemotherapy was crazy. I had no experience with chemo, I had no experience with cancer, and I didn't really realize how severe it was. I lost all my hair, was dying, and got my first surgery. Woke up from that surgery thinking that no big deal, I'll go back to skateboarding, we'll be okay. I found out that wasn't the case. So I found out that they did a total knee replacement and took my tibia bone out and put a titanium rod into my leg. And because of what they did to my actual leg, I had nothing, I couldn't do any sports anymore. So I couldn't do running, I couldn't jump, I couldn't ride a bike for the rest of my life. But there was something I always kept with me, it was something called high hopes. It was 2014 when I was in the hospital, and I seen the Sochi Paralympics and Olympics air on TV. I was watching from the hospital bed, and I seen Paralympic snowboarding, and decided that one day I was going to learn how to snowboard. High hope. This high hope, even though I knew my physical limitations, I knew it really wasn't possible, I knew someday I wanted to give it a shot. A year later, I finished up my treatment. Hear the words, I'm cancer-free. That was amazing, and that was a step forward for me. But it also reminded me that I came so close to death that I wanted to live the best life I could, as fast as I could. I started doing speaking engagements, I saved up money, and I worked a few jobs as dishwasher in order to get money so I could move to go learn how to snowboard. Now I still have my leg, and it was still causing me a lot of trouble. The doctors did a checkup, and on that checkup, they put a needle into my knee, and they drew fluid out, and they decided that my leg was rejecting all the metal that they put in there. So I had 2 options. I was 17 years old. They said, we can save your leg, but you'll be less mobile than you were beforehand, or we can amputate your leg, and you have the option of getting back to sports. Now we all know that we associate what we do with who we are. So after being an athlete for so many years and relating myself to skateboarding, that's who I felt like I was, and I felt like I lost a part of myself. So it was a no-brainer for me. I said, okay, we're going to amputate my leg. I had 10 days. On January 30th, 2015, I got my leg amputated above the knee. Awesome. Leg's gone. So it took me about another year to undergo learning how to walk, healing from the amputation, and moving forward. I rented a U-Haul truck, got my prosthetic, and moved to Park City, Utah to learn how to snowboard and train. When I arrived in Park City, I had never been to Utah before. It was just a place that I heard the Olympics were hosted in 2002, and it's a place to go and train. Sign me up. So I showed up there seeing the mountains for the second time and was just in awe. The next year, all I did every day was snowboarding. I snowboarded at Snowbird until July 4th. The 4th of July, I was snowboarding. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I had a year and a half from when I started snowboarding to the 2018 Paralympic Winter Games. In order to qualify for the games, you have to meet criteria on a world status level. You have to be ranked a certain ranking in the world circuit in order to qualify. So what I did is I had support from local sponsors in Park City. I did speaking engagements and also worked at the National Ability Center as an adaptive instructor and an adaptive coach for adaptive athletes. Using that money, I put it towards travels to these World Cups all over the world. First times ever leaving the country, first time going to New Zealand, to all these crazy places. Long story short, I meet all the criteria. I had to be top 3 in the world in both of my disciplines, and I got golds and silvers at every World Cup throughout that whole winter season. I was in Canada, in British Columbia, and I get the word that I just qualified for the 2018 Paralympic Winter Games. Going to the games, I had such high hopes to do well there as I did throughout that whole winter season. And actually competing, I got a gold and a bronze. And today I still use my high hopes. Thank you.
All right.